Welcome to KQEG and Seven River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and into fitness. Well, this week, a special show. Glad you're with us because we're going to introduce you to a new concept, a new program in lacrosse in the Coulee Region called Rising Athletes. And with me this week, the co-founders of that program, Rusty Murphy and Katie Lever. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, Terry. Thanks for having us.
A lot of people are like, what is Rising Athletes? So you stay with us for this show, and we're going to tell you exactly. But before we tell you about that, Rusty Murphy. Now, a lot of people probably remember that name. Not from last year because there wasn't no season, but remember Rusty Murphy. And if you're not sure who he is, all you got to do is look on the UWL football website. All conference twice, broke some records from Cudahy, Wisconsin, and a gift to UWL. It was all conference in 2019, didn't play in 2020, but oh my goodness, you came to the right school?
Yeah, I believe so. Every single day, the best decision of my life.
Well, let's go back though, because your involvement in sports and in the program that we're going to unveil started because of your involvement in athletics when you were young.
Yeah. Before
you went to high school, and then you found out what your gift was, and that gift came to lacrosse. How did your experiences as a youth athlete influence who you are?
Yeah, I grew up playing sports. You know, my mom would drop me off at practice because I would be able to get my energy out playing sports instead of, you know, in our basement or, you know, messing up the house. So I played a lot of competitive baseball when I was a young kid, and which turned into travel ball, and, you know, we'd play on weekends and tournaments and stuff like that. And then there was you know, football when I was in grade school, which was flag football, then turned into tackle football, you know, basketball on top of all of that. So I played a ton of sports growing up and really witnessed all types of people, all types of kids, all types of families with different, you know, incomes, different ethnicities, everything. And that's the best part about sports, if you ask me, is you get everybody and, you know, every different way of life, and you get to play with them. You play sports and you get those opportunities, and yeah, that was my childhood.
So then when you graduate from high school, though, as you're finishing your senior year, you had options to go at other schools. What brought you to lacrosse?
Really, I just came here. I came here I never visited lacrosse, you know, officially, or looked at the school in person. And I got here and I just fell in love with the place. You know, started up on the bluff and looked down, and campus was gorgeous. Saw the downtown, the river, the bluffs. I mean, how would I say no to that, you know?
Well, and I think a lot of you know the guest in the middle. That's Katie Curtis Lever, who was a star for Central High School. I remember watching her play. She got her start at the Boys and Girls Club, and she was a tremendous leader and student athlete there and at Central. And then, of course, husband Eric, who was another really good athlete at Central. And then 3 teenagers who are involved in athletics. So you're, with your dad being the head baseball coach at Logan and coaching football, and Coach Curtis, so the Curtis name is synonymous with sports in this area. You had some great experiences.
I've had some great experiences. I grew up as a gym rat, you know, running around Logan, the fields, and I was blessed with 3 boys who are all into athletics, and they like different types of sports, and so it's been really fun for me, you know, to see my passion and my love for sports come out in my kids now as they're getting older. And you know, and it's a family affair, like you said. It's something we talk about at the dinner tables, Christmases, Thanksgivings. It's very fun to all be together and have that bond of sports that brings us together.
You left quite an impact here in the area as an athlete in high school and at the club. Let's transition into something, because I know a lot of our viewers are, their minds are maybe not so much on sports right now. Their minds are on what's going on in this country. A lot of experts say the country is in crisis right now. Certainly what we see in Washington, what is on the threshold of possibly happening with COVID, with economic issues, with school, in-person school, and all the things that are going on. I read where one author said that we are in triage right now, meaning that our hearts have been broken, our limbs are damaged because of all the things that are going on. And Rusty, you being a young person, you're going to be making decisions in the next few years that are going to impact the entire world. And Katie, with young people and the level of anxiety that you see with mental health issues, with students not being in person, I mean, we are in triage. There's no question about it. What do you say to your kids? How do you handle that at the dinner table? And how can we put Humpty Dumpty back together again, Katie?
That's a great question. You know, I think what I keep telling the kids is these are stories they're going to tell their grandkids someday. You know, people are going to be asking, what did you do? So one thing I made them do was start keeping a journal during COVID, because someday somebody will want to read that journal. You know, and trying to help them put it back together. Luckily, my kids have been self-motivated, so they've been working out through this whole time, and we have the resources and everything for them to stay involved at home. And when you have brothers and you have somebody else there to push you, it's nice, but you're right, there's not a lot of kids who have that, so it's having the compassion, inviting people in the house to, you know, to come work out and sanitize when they're done, and giving people some of the opportunities that we have, because these kids are, watching them walk into the building last Wednesday for the first time, it was like the energy level at the high school, watching these kids come back was amazing, and I don't think they're ever going to take things for granted again. You know, I think a successful football season to me a year ago meant something different than it does now. A successful football season for me now would be to finish the season and get to play. You know, so it puts everything in perspective, and I do think, you know, with all the triage that we're doing and putting things back together, a lot of kids have had to figure out, okay, without sports there, what else? What else can I do to help? You know, and that's kind of, I think kids have had to really dig deep.
You know, a lot of people say, college students in particular, kind of live in their own little cocoon. They basically are into, hopefully academics, but they're into sports, they're into their own personal lives, they're into going downtown with their friends, and they're into a lot of things. That's not true, though, in my view, because knowing you and knowing a lot of your friends and knowing young people your age, you do care about what's going on in the world. You don't live in a cocoon. It has affected you. I've read where mental health issues, isolation, not being able to participate in sports and so on, has affected people in college as well as young people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're at home. If you're living on campus, you're probably at home with your parents right now, and if you're off campus, you know, you're in your apartment with the people that you live with, and that's about it, you know. And you know, the biggest thing is just trying to take care of yourself as best as you can. You know, go on those walks, get that, you know, vitamin D, get outside, get moving, get exercising, and that's the big thing that sports allowed for people was, you know, that hour, 2 hours away from the real world. You would go out, get your energy out, exercise, you know, get the blood flowing, all that good stuff to really help your mental health, and now you can't do any of that.
Well, okay, you missed a season. You have 1 year of eligibility left.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. You missed a season. And all these other things that have affected you. Reveal to our viewers how your life has changed.
Yeah, like Katie said, it puts things in perspective, you know. I had to, you know, football was my life for the most part, and everything was kind of built around that. And, you know, you take football out, and all of a sudden you have to, reevaluate and realize what's important to you. And I realized that, well, sports are really important to me. and that even without them, that it impacts so much more than just my life. It impacts, you know, people everywhere, and, you know, just taking into account all that kind of stuff, and really just never taking that kind of stuff for granted again.
You know, I read, and again, our guest this week, Rusty Murphy, UWL linebacker, student athlete, and Katie Lever. I know Katie Cleaver too. She was a
good athlete from West Salem.
She was very good, and you sort of remind me of her too. But it's Katie Lever. The thing that I think about too is the fact that all of our lives have changed, and maybe for the good. Maybe there is a silver lining to all of this. Is there, Katie?
Well, I definitely think There is. I think I haven't spent this much time with my kids in years. I mean, since they've been 7, we've been traveling every weekend, you know, we've been traveling for sports between 3 boys all the time. We're splitting up, we're conquering, we're dividing. And now, you know, one of my sons is going to graduate next year, and we've spent more time with him in the last year than we have probably in the last 5 years combined. So there are definitely some things that we'll take away from this, but it's also part of this idea was that we had the time to do it, you know, that you start thinking about what else can we do to help others who might not be as fortunate, and that's what's kind of, you're sitting here stewing over all these months trying to figure out what to do to help others, and it gives you the time to do it.
Those kids that are living on the margins, and many of them at the Boys and Girls Club, for example, as you know. But as we transition into the second segment here this week, I want to transition with a couple of things. First, Rusty Murphy, I read his profile. Here are his plans after graduation, which is in May of 2020.
December 2021.
Here are his plans after graduation. 1, adopt a dog.
Definitely.
Adopt a dog.
Gotta have a best friend.
But here's the second thing, in order, by the way, that's going to lead us into rising athletes. His second objective is to help minimize the equity gap that you have seen in youth athletics.
Definitely. Now,
how many profiles from a 21-year-old college student have those two things on the first, and plus a multi-million-dollar business? I'd like to be part of that one, and then build a house. But helping minimize the equity gap. When we come back, right after this, we're going to talk exclusively about rising athletes and that equity gap, which we all see. And maybe there's some things that our viewers don't know that are going to surprise you right after this.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
Seven Rivers Sports special show this week. Rusty Murphy and Katie Lieber were talking about a brand new program in lacrosse, Rising Athletes. First half of the show, we talked about all the things going on in the world that certainly do have an indirect impact on sports. I read an article recently that talked about the economic fallout that has occurred. Really impacts young people that may not be able to play sports in the future, either middle school, high school, elementary. Here's why. Because a lot of the parents are struggling financially. Maybe they've cut back on their hours. Maybe only one person works at home. The young person has to get a job, which takes them away from being involved in activities. I mean, there are so many components to what has happened in the world. Is that one of the sort of perhaps components for talking about and developing rising athletes, Katie?
Yeah, it definitely is one of the components. When I moved back to lacrosse a couple years ago, and I was in some of the meetings for summer baseball and different activities here in the community, I noticed that some of my son's friends and some other athletes that I was starting to get to know didn't show up for the meeting, and I wondered why. And a lot of them, they have to work. They have to help pay bills. They have to pay for driver's ed, for their, to get their license, help pay car payments. And so they have to make that decision. Do I pay the $125 to play baseball in the summer, or do I save that money to help pay for my, for my driver's ed? And I think that I feel like everybody should get the opportunity to play, and money shouldn't be the thing that separates it.
21% of kids in this country live in households below the federal poverty line. $17 billion industry is youth athletics. $17 billion in this country. Kids living below the poverty line. Sports, a lot of authors say this, in this country, youth sports is a two-tier system. The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, the biggest thing that you have to realize is that every industry in the U.S. can and will be monetized, and they figured it out that using kids' dreams to monetize that is one way to do it, and that's what we're seeing. You're paying ridiculous prices just to play on a team, to get into a tournament, to pay for each sports equipment, all that kind of stuff. It adds up really quick.
Here's the other concept too. There's one element of kids that are involved in AAU and a lot of traveling teams and going across the border and so on. And then mentally, physically, they burn out, it's overkill and so on. Then the other facet, which is really, I think, significant, is those that are kind of left behind. So the kids leave and they're on a traveling team, and then the other kids are maybe in less competitive situation. So you have some kids that quit playing sports because of overexposure, and some that lose interest because people lose interest in them. How do we rectify that?
By giving more opportunity to the students. Is bringing some kids to the level where they can play at a higher level if they want to play at a younger age. But you're right, Terry. I've noticed by the time somebody gets to 5th grade nowadays, if they haven't started a sport, they might feel embarrassed to try it in 5th or 6th grade, which you should be able to go to the boys club and try a sport that you want to try, or the park and rec or wherever, and you should be able to play a sport. But there is that huge divide, and that's part of our mission, is trying to figure out how to make that divide smaller.
70%, I don't know if this is right, but this is what I read this morning. 70% of kids when they reach the age of 13 or 14 drop out of sports because of the things we're talking about. Now, rising athletes. This just intrigues the heck out of me, and by the way, that's why I called you when I saw it on your Facebook page. This could be a game changer. Goals, purpose, concept. Just get drill down to exactly what these viewers need to know.
The biggest thing is we want to make sure that everyone has the same opportunity to play a sport which fits them best, or what they want to do. And the biggest thing is I think that there should be no reason that a kid shouldn't be able to play a sport based off of their household income. That's silly to me. And I think that no matter how we're all put into life, we're going to figure it out. And it's the same thing with sports. Like, you have to give every kid the opportunity to play, to figure out if they want to pursue that sport, or if it leads them to other opportunities. I think everybody should get that opportunity.
Now, people in the community, this is probably one of the more key things. People in the community can be a part of this. You had, what I read, was 12 days of giving.
We did.
How did that go?
It went great. We were actually really pleasantly surprised at the amount of sharing we had. I mean, even if you're not able to give, sharing on your page. And so we've raised over $2,400 just in 12 days with just our community members donating because they like the cause.
12 days of giving. Now that's over with, right?
That's over with, yes.
But can the community still be a part of, let's say you won 13, 14, and then on and on and on? Well, good, because here's a gift from Sue and Terry Erickson.
Oh, that's so nice.
The reason I share that with you, reason I thought, should I do that on the air? But the reason I share that with you is because I want to inspire others.
Well, thank you very much.
To give to what this program is now.
It'll be put to good use.
This is really interesting to me. I did a lot of research on this. In Europe, they've introduced some alternative models to attack this particular issue of inequity in kids. and inefficiency in overall getting kids involved. So in Norway, for example, there's youth sports. All their youth sports are funded by their lottery. Millions of dollars from the lottery in Norway go to youth sports. And there's no keeping score until the age of 14. There's no posting scores or anything. And the word play is the operative word, not competition. Here's interesting. Well, what about when they get older? Are those athletes in Norway going to be just average? No. You know why? Because last year in the Winter Olympics, Norway had 39 gold medals, the record number of medals from the country of Norway. And their youth program is based on what you want to do with rising athletes.
Yeah, just given, when you give people those opportunities and you have that broader spectrum of people playing, there's going to be some of the best athletes. Some of the best athletes in this country, I'm sure, haven't had a chance to play yet. And that's what we're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in the community, too, that have sort of adopted some families and some kids and been inspired them by just paying some fees or helping them with apparel and so on. That's an option too, isn't it? You've seen that, haven't you, Katie?
I have seen that, and that's what we're talking about with this, is just how can you help? You might not be able to donate. You could help maybe by helping tutor somebody, and helping their grades get back up. There's different ways to do the helping, and for us, with all that, we have to make sure we stay compliant with the WIAA. So, with a lot of these ideas, they're great ideas. We'll take it to somebody if we have an idea, and we'll try to get it passed.
So okay, you just started the program. It's kind of in its infancy stages, and you have a strategic plan, you have a game plan, you have goals, objectives, and timelines. Mm-hmm. Talk about that, Rusty.
The biggest thing that initially is going to be helping, kids come back from COVID-19. Like you said, everyone's on the sideline right now, and what we're going to, especially locally, we're going to be rattling off probably an entire year of sports in a matter of 3-4 months here. So a big thing we're going to try to do is help people get back to sports as best as we can, and it might not even be from a financial side. It might be from getting people in contact with tutors to get them eligible to play sports, or it might be giving them resources on the mental health like we talked about earlier. It might be giving resources on other things just to make sure that we can get back to what we had before was semi-normal.
So have you targeted any specific programs? If you targeted any demographic group?
So one thing that we have right now, we're in the process of organizing, is trying to get, we would like to get some tutors to pair up with UWL, student athletes, and get some student athletes in to help the students at Logan and Central here who might be struggling academically because everything has been online, and getting people academically eligible to play, or getting them strong enough so they don't have to worry about it come football, come track, come baseball. So that's one of the first goals that we have, is to get into the schools after school and have some resources there for the kids to use that are free, because tutors cost so much these days and not everybody has access to one. So let's get some free tutors in the schools.
Students like Rusty Murphy and his teammates that can model themselves, and kids would be inspired by being around people like you, because we've all had people in our lives. If you drill back and go down the yellow brick road and you think about people that inspired you to be who you are today, and maybe people have planted a seed that you now attribute to this rising athletes concept. You have one, Rusty?
All of them. All of them in some shape or form have came from sports. Some maybe teachers, but a lot of that had to do with balancing sports and school and all that types of thing. I think all of my main mentors, down from my 3rd grade basketball coach, 5th grade baseball coach, all that stuff, it all adds up. And just having the opportunity to play sports got me to them, which is going to get me to the next point in my life and the next point after that. And that's the snowball that needs to happen for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of our viewers how can they get involved? Is there a web page, Facebook, whatever they need to do to maybe find out more information, Katie.
Yes, we have everything. We have a Facebook page called Rising Athletes.
Rising Athletes.
And then Instagram, and we are on Twitter, and also we do have a website, which is
risingathletes.org.
Yeah. And so we're definitely, we just had our first board meeting last week. It was really exciting to kind of bring everybody together, get some ideas, and now the ball's rolling and we're all starting to work on our ideas in different ways, bringing it together. But we will be putting stuff out there on the website. Here's how you can help. If we do any camps or anything this summer, you know, we're going to need people in the community to help us. We're going to need athletes, coaches. We're going to need, it's going to be an all hands on deck. Let's get these kids back to sports this year.
Needless to say, I think you can tell how impressed I am. I hope you are as impressed as I am, because this has been my life since I came from one of those families way below the poverty line, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But this, it's been a pleasure to have you. This has been a great show, and I hope our viewers feel the same way. And I'm interested in feedback from our viewers on what your thoughts are and how you can help. So, again, Rising Athletes is the theme. That's the program. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the future. Guests today, two co-founders, Rusty Murphy, Katie Lieber. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
We'll be back with some clips from a recent game right after this.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Well, Rick and I were in the newly remodeled Bernie Ferry Fieldhouse on the campus of Holman High School on Monday for an MVC showdown, the Holman Vikings versus the state-ranked Tomah Timberwolves. Defense took charge in the first half with Tomah up 21-20 at intermission. The lead changed hands several times in the second half, the Viking defense creating multiple issues for Tomah, a team averaging 63 points a game. Down the stretch, the outcome was in doubt as teams exchanged baskets. With the score tied at 42, Holman controlled the ball for the last 20 seconds, looking for a scoring opportunity. Senior Max Hammond received the ball near the baseline and calmly scored as the horn sounded. Hammond finished with 12 points, 6 for 9 scoring. Senior Cole Colander led the Vikings with 21 points. Junior Dustin DeRusso led Tomah with 18 points. We will see both teams in action in the Midwest Players Classic this weekend. Holman versus Northwestern at 3 p.m. and Tomah will end the day playing Kaukauna at 9 p.m. Final from Holman, the Vikings 44 and the Tomah Timberwolves 42. Well, that's it this week here on 7 Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active and a healthy week